I understand that sometimes even teachers themselves in the schools tell me that, oh, this county you live in, they're giving you half. They're not giving you the full complexity of what you can have, and we're being belittled. And I feel like if I lived in another zip code or and I
This is PG County. It is home to 890,000 people, with 65% of them being black and another 20% being another minority. Prince George's County is the richest predominantly black county in America, with an average household income of $73,000 and a poverty rate just under that of Maryland's at 9.4%. Besides the 62% of people that own small houses, the other percentage of people live in public housing, the median value of these units being $270,000. The question is, why is the richest black county home to this much insufficiency? And if this county is this bad, what can be said for the other areas that are inhabited by minorities? One could say it is the education of these areas that is to blame. Prince George's County is ranked as 21st out of 23 counties for academic achievement in the state of Maryland. In the 2013 census, it was recorded that only 30% of people aged 25 and above had received a bachelor's degree or higher. For decades, there have been large disparities in education, where schools in rich neighborhoods receive more funding and provide a much better education than those in poorer neighborhoods. This means that kids in poverty already start at a disadvantage than kids who aren't. Just because of a difference of income or area code, kids are subject to different levels of education that then sets the bar for the rest of their life. In a study in which low-income students were tested, it was shown that by the end of 4th grade, they were already 2 years behind grade level, and by the end of 12th grade, they are 4 years behind.
Most of my students were reading far below their grade level, and their motivation to read or to do any of the work, actually, they weren't very self-motivated.
I wouldn't say high grades were the motivation, but more passive.
We asked students what they thought, and they agreed that in some cases there was a difference in the quality of the education that they received when they compared it to the education of their friends who live in a nicer area, also with those who grew up in a poorer neighborhood.
I feel like the education that I've gotten here so far was really good. Like, it's been really good. It's been the community is very good. Yeah, I got to meet a lot of people. So yeah, I think I really enjoyed the experience so far. I've talked to the people that go to Bowie and other schools like that, and the stuff they learned there is just like half of the stuff we learn here, they haven't even covered that. So it's just amazing that we're getting such an amazing quality of education at the same price.
They think that we are getting like this amazing education, and they're just not.
the quality of the education, I can just say I would really leave it at 50-50 because, sometimes the size of the classes are too big and the teacher doesn't really get a chance to explain to everybody.
Middle school was a rough time. Like, I didn't really learn anything at all. It didn't prepare me for high school.
Does this mean they did not learn anything? No.
Bourbon Heights was more prestigious, I guess, than Spring Hill Lake. I feel like I learned a lot more there than I did in Spring Hill Lake.
It could have been a lot better, but I guess I learned a lot because I got to move up in classes, so I know like some schools don't really have that.
I went to Charles Carroll Middle School, and the education I received there was not too bad. I remember that the things I learned there are actually helping me now in high school, and those are the reasons that I'm actually where I am now in the AP level courses.
Because some teachers aren't like putting in the effort to actually teach me stuff. But then like my AP classes, I feel like they're putting in more effort.
With all of the odds stacked against these students in lower income neighborhoods who also receive a lower quality of education, we thought that they wouldn't be able to rise above their circumstances. We thought that they would be stuck in an endless cycle of poverty that would make them unable to succeed later in life. But through our interviews with the teachers, we learned that this isn't always the case.
I totally think people can rise above it, and I'm actually always telling my students that might be a factor, but it doesn't have to be your excuse for not doing well.
I'm happy to report that I have students who are in the military. I have students who finished college and have real jobs. On TV, one's a reporter in Miami.
Yes, I do believe that people are able to overcome the cycle of poverty. Do it every day. Despite where you come from, despite the neighborhood that you come from, people from the worst neighborhoods make the greatest successes. Part of that is due to desire, willingness, willpower, right? People that have a desire to do well usually find a way to do well.
When we started this project, we were convinced that students in poor neighborhoods would not succeed in school or later in life due to their circumstances. We thought that due to a lack of funding and lack of drive and motivation, poor students would not be able to break out of the cycle of poverty and lead meaningful lives. While that is true in some cases, it's not what we discovered in this project. We discovered that if students have the motivation to get a great education, and they have parents and teachers that care about them and support them, they would be able to overcome their circumstances and be successful. We concluded that Kofi Annan was right. Education is the great equalizer of our time. If students have the drive to succeed and they put in effort, there is nothing that they can't achieve.
Can we pretend that airplanes